In recent weeks, the United States has quietly deployed more than 2,200 Marines to the Middle East. At first glance, that number may not seem particularly large. After all, the United States has deployed hundreds of thousands of troops to the region in the past, during major conflicts. But this time, the situation is different. These Marines are not part of a massive invasion force, nor are they meant to occupy territory. Instead, they represent something far more strategic. A rapid response military unit designed to react to crises before they spiral out of control. Yet, despite their impressive capabilities, many analysts believe that even a highly trained force like this may not be enough if tensions in the region continue to escalate. To understand why, we need to take a closer look at who these Marines are, what they are capable of, and why the Middle East remains one of the most complex military environments in the world. The troops being sent to the region come from the United States Marine Corps, a military force specifically built for rapid deployment and expeditionary warfare. Unlike traditional armies that rely on large bases and long supply lines, the Marines are trained to move quickly, operate in hostile environments, and establish combat operations with minimal support. Most overseas Marine deployments are organized around a formation known as a Marine Expeditionary Unit, often referred to simply as an MEU. A Marine Expeditionary Unit usually consists of around 2,200 Marines and sailors. But within that relatively small number is a surprisingly powerful and flexible combat force. An MEU typically includes an infantry battalion, helicopter squadrons, transport aircraft, armored vehicles, artillery units, and logistics teams capable of sustaining operations far from home. In essence, it is a miniature combined arms military force that can conduct a wide range of missions anywhere in the world. What makes a Marine Expeditionary Unit particularly unique is its ability to operate directly from the sea. These forces are usually deployed aboard amphibious assault ships that function almost like small aircraft carriers. From these ships, Marines can launch helicopter assaults, deploy amphibious vehicles onto coastlines, conduct raids, or rapidly evacuate civilians from dangerous situations. Because they operate from the ocean, these forces do not always need permission to build large bases on land. This mobility allows them to respond to global crises extremely quickly. In fact, Marine Expeditionary Units are often the first American military forces to arrive when a sudden conflict breaks out somewhere in the world. The Middle East, however, is not just any region. It is one of the most strategically important areas on the planet. For decades, the United States has maintained a strong military presence there to protect vital shipping lanes, maintain regional stability, and support allied governments. One of the most important locations in the region is the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway that connects the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. A significant portion of the world's oil supply passes through this small stretch of water every single day. Any disruption in this shipping route could send shockwaves through the global economy. Because of this, ensuring the security of the Strait of Hormuz has long been a major priority for American naval forces operating in the region. However, the security environment in the Middle East has grown far more complicated in recent years. Modern warfare in the region no longer revolves only around large armies clashing on traditional battlefields. Instead, conflicts often involve missiles, drones, proxy militias, cyber warfare, and attacks on commercial shipping. These kinds of threats can emerge quickly and unpredictably, making it extremely difficult for any single force to fully control the situation. This is one of the reasons why rapid response units like the Marine Expeditionary Unit are deployed to areas of rising tension. Their role is not necessarily to fight an entire war on their own, but to respond quickly when a crisis begins and stabilize the situation before it escalates further. Despite their impressive training and flexibility, there are limits to what 2,200 Marines can accomplish. A Marine Expeditionary Unit is extremely capable, but it is not designed to fight a large-scale regional war against a well-equipped adversary. Instead, it acts as an initial response force, capable of performing critical missions such as evacuating civilians, securing key infrastructure, conducting limited raids, or reinforcing Allied positions under threat. If the situation escalates into a larger conflict, these Marines would likely be joined by additional forces including aircraft carrier strike groups, long-range bombers, and larger ground formations from other branches of the US military. Another factor to consider is how dramatically military technology has evolved over the past 2 decades. Many regional actors now possess advanced missile systems, armed drones, and sophisticated surveillance capabilities. These weapons can threaten ships, bases, and even small expeditionary forces operating near coastlines. In such an environment, even a highly trained force like the Marines must operate carefully and rely heavily on support from naval and air forces. This is why analysts often say that a single Marine Expeditionary Unit, while powerful, is not sufficient on its own to manage a large regional conflict. At the same time, the Marines themselves are constantly adapting to these new threats. Over the past few years, the Marine Corps has undergone major changes to its strategy and structure, focusing more on mobility, precision weapons, and smaller, highly flexible units capable of operating in contested environments. This transformation reflects the reality of modern warfare, where speed, intelligence, and technological advantage often matter more than sheer numbers of troops on the ground. The Marines being sent to the Middle East today are part of this evolving strategy, trained not only for traditional combat, but also for complex operations that involve coordination with naval forces, intelligence networks, and advanced surveillance systems. Yet the presence of these Marines is still extremely significant. Military deployments are not only about raw combat power, they are also about signaling. When the United States sends Marines to a region experiencing rising tensions, it sends a clear message to both allies and potential adversaries. For allies, it demonstrates commitment and reassurance that the United States is willing to respond quickly if the situation deteriorates. For potential adversaries, it acts as a warning that any aggressive action could quickly trigger a much larger military response. In this sense, even a relatively small force can have a powerful strategic impact. Ultimately, the deployment of 2,200 Marines to the Middle East is less about fighting a full-scale war and more about preparing for uncertainty. Their presence ensures that the United States has a rapid response force ready to act. If a crisis suddenly escalates, these Marines represent the first line of response, capable of stabilizing dangerous situations until larger military forces can arrive if necessary. And while 2,200 Marines may not be enough to control an entire region or win a major war, they were never intended to do so. Their mission is speed, flexibility, and readiness. In a region where tensions can rise overnight and crises can erupt without warning, those qualities may be just as important as sheer numbers. History has shown that many conflicts begin with small deployments that later grow into much larger military operations. Whether the current deployment remains a limited precaution or becomes the first stage of a larger build-up will depend entirely on how events in the region unfold. For now, the arrival of these Marines serves as both preparation and warning. Preparation for any crisis that might emerge, and a warning that the United States is ready to respond if stability in the region is threatened.